this is the first look at the Star Tribune's high school football preseason rankings for this fall, 2025. This is the top 25 in Minnesota. I'm Randy Shaver, joined in studio with Strib Varsity sports writers Jim Paulsen and Cassidy Hettesheimer. And in this show, Jim and Cassidy will reveal the prep football teams. We're going to do this in reverse order from 25 all the way down to the number one team in high school football preseason in Minnesota. Jim, you've been doing this a long time. I know this is a difficult list to do. When it was just Metro, that's easy, right? But when it's the entire state and you have to include everybody, and there are great teams out there, how do you mix and match 6A, 1A, 3A, 4A? How do you do that? This must be difficult.
Well, you just hit it on the head, and you perfectly on what the problem is, that it's a conglomerate of everybody. We're not breaking teams up by class. So you're trying to rank kids in Class 6A, which is the largest schools, all the way down to 1A and 9-man, and try to include everybody in the top 25. And realistically, you just can't do that. So I try to make sure that I'm including the top teams, but also giving a little respect to some of the smaller schools, because I know a lot of schools have good players, they have good athletes, and they deserve a little recognition from a top 25, but that's what makes it difficult.
And this is not a list where, Eden Prairie is going to play Jackson County Central. It's not. You're not doing it in that thought process.
No.
You're just picking the best teams around the state and putting them in a list.
And that does come up a lot of times when I talk to people about it. I would never put a 2A team over a 6A team, but it's not about if they're going to play. It's a matter of these kids deserve to be recognized.
You bet. All right, so Cassidy's been at the Star Tribune for just over a year now, covering high school sports, football in particular. Is there a team out there? What do you look forward to the most when you cover Minnesota prep football so far?
Well, I had a lot of fun last fall, sort of being charged to try to find some kind of off the beaten path football stories a little bit. So first couple games I went out to covering them kind of like normal game stories, writing about results, that sort of thing. But then as I got to, go out there more and more, finding some, people involved in teams that are maybe running the video boards or just doing behind the scenes stuff that, like, to me, that's the fun thing about football is I grew up playing soccer. And so for the most part, it was us and maybe an athletic trainer and a parent running the, scoreboard and the other team. And that was kind of it. But then, for football, there's so many different groups and people all out there enjoying it. So getting to tap into some of that was really fun.
And I will say that Cassidy was a fantastic addition to the Star Tribune staff, and she did an excellent job in rooting out some of those off the beaten path stories.
Well, it's great to have you here. It's great to have you be a part of the top 25. And like I said, we're going to do this in reverse order. So we're going to start with picks, teams number 25 and number 24. And Jim, you're going to start us off. Who's number 25?
I take a deep breath because at number 25, I've got Hermantown.
Okay.
It's not a hockey school this year. It's a football school. And a lot of times at that level, when you're talking number 25, one player can make a huge difference. And I put number 25 because if you haven't had a chance to see their running back, Martin Sleen, this is your chance to do it. Take advantage of these rankings. This kid is worth the money. He's fast. He's explosive. He's a running back that had state track meet credentials, and I think he medaled in the 100 and 200.
Yep.
He makes guys miss. I've seen a lot of video of defenders coming up to try to think they've got the angle on him, and he runs right around them and leaves them wondering, oh my God, I was way, way behind this kid. He's fun to watch, and you have a kid of that level, I put him on number 25 just to give them the chance to make sure that they're a team that you want to see.
Number 24.
Cretin-Durham Hall has a long history of high school football, and they haven't been quite at the level that we expect them to be in the past, decade or so, but I'm expecting a lot out of the Raiders this year. They've got a quarterback named Isaac Johnson who is in his second year as a starter, and I think he's ready to break out. They always have a lot of talent. They saw it in the state basketball tournament last year. They got to the finals. There's a lot of football players at Cretin-Durham Hall. I expect big things out of the Raiders this year.
New head coach in Kim Royston, former player there, and I think this is correct. No football team in Minnesota has made the state playoffs more than Cretin has in their history. So You're right. Okay, so that's number 24. Cassidy, you've been tagged with teams number 23 and 22. Who's number 23 on the list?
Yes, and so for team number 23, we've got a 4A team in Rocori. They've also got a new head coach. James Herberg is now going to be an assistant at St. John's, but assistant Greg Enns is taking over there for him. And they've got some talent coming back in the trenches with, I think he spoke with Andrew Trout, right, a Gophers commit for them, and we'll be looking to, make an impact for that team. They've got a tough schedule this year. I think they open against Satino Gray, state runner-up. They go to play Becker. But yeah, I'll be at that first game at TCO, so looking forward to getting to see their crew there.
All right, who's number 22?
Number 22, actually, Marcus Fuller just went down there, one of our Strib Varsity reporters, to Jackson County Central for a pretty interesting reason. Another Gophers commit there, Roman Voss. He's their quarterback, but recruited as an athlete for them, for Minnesota. I actually got to watch them play in the state championship game last year, and Voss has had kind of an unlucky string of injuries right there in the state final, but helped them get there and is a great athlete, so it'll be cool to get to see him play his senior year. And trust me, as someone, I grew up in Georgia, so I know what turning down an Alabama football scholarship offer means there, and can say I'm new to the state, but always good to see some recruiting battles there, maybe lost by the tide. But yeah, the Huskies still handled Staples Motley in the championship game for their first title since 2001, really handily last year, and a lot of players stepped up. Offensive lineman Weston Rowe is another D1 recruit. He's headed to South Dakota State for them. So that'll be a really good 2A team down there. And Marcus got to go hang out with Roman, and so be on the lookout for that.
All right, JCC is number 22. Jim, you've got number 21. Who's number 21?
That's a much more difficult position than you would think to put teams on, because there's a lot of teams that could qualify for that spot, and it's kind of a transition spot in the rankings. I went with Egan this year. I've been real fond of what Nick Johnson has done there since he has been most of a long time assistant coach out in the Lakevilles, and before coming over and taking over Egan. And Egan was a program that had some bad times. They had a few winless seasons. Last year they won 6 games. And they're doing it behind the option offense, the veer offense. They lost their quarterback, but they have a lot of talent coming back, and I really like the direction Johnson has Egan pointed in. I could be wrong on this one, but I'm a big Egan fan at this point. I'm a Wildcat at heart.
There you go. All right, so those are teams 25 through 21. Now we're going to get into the top 20 in the Minnesota high school football preseason top 25. And Cassidy, we come back to you. You have teams 20 through 16. Who's number 20?
Yes, and so we just heard about Cretin-Durham Hall, and so we'll hear about their week 1 opponent right now, which is St. Thomas Academy, another 5A school.
Great game.
They'll play at TCO. Another one I've got penciled into my schedule. They lost to Chanhassen in the state quarterfinals last year, finished 7-4. Same team that beat them in the state championship the year before, so we'll see if they can, cross that hurdle there this year. But senior Dominic Bays is back for the Cadets. He rushed 1,100 yards plus last year, so we'll look to get a lot out of him this year. But a physical team, I know Jim said, always there with the winning the physical battle, so it'll be a good one this year.
Travis Walsh just picked up where the former coach left off, the coach that was at Holy Family. Dan O'Brien, yeah. All right, number 19. Who's 19?
19 is Stillwater. Their quarterback, Nick Kinsey, from last year, an Eastern Michigan commit, is now in Ohio, playing some high school football there. And they had a good kicker in Landon Huber, who's graduated, but Jim had pointed out that their senior running back, Emilio Rosario Matias, last year's team MVP, offensive MVP, and just team MVP in general, is back. He had 1,200 rushing yards, 14 touchdowns last year, so he'll be big for them. Another player to watch is defensive lineman Khalid Afuye. I'm an Iowa State commit. They open against defending 6A state champion Maple Grove, so that'll be a fun one. Not really easing into anything there for them. They've got a big season ahead of them, and I know that they, I wasn't around here when he was coaching, but they just had a pretty legendary head coach pass away, so I'm sure they'll look to honor him this year.
I mean, I don't think you can really talk about Stillwater football in any way, shape, or form without, and without talking about George.
He was Stillwater football.
And his impact. He was, for sure, number 18.
Number 18 is Mankato East, another 5A school. They finished 7-3 last year. They beat Mankato West in the playoffs, but
Which
then
is huge.
Yes, and they had lost that game in the regular season. So, good back and forth, and not to spoil too much, but we've got Mankato West on this list as well. So we know that'll be another good game this year before losing to Hassan in the next round. But yeah, they've graduated, really good starting quarterback who had their school record in yards in a season. But they return receiver Hayden Tischler, who's a Minnesota State commit, who's been really good for them. They'll look to get a good year out of junior defensive lineman Carter Schwartz, who I got to see win the state shot put title this summer. But yeah, so they've got an exciting group coming back, and we'll look to see if they can maybe win both those games this year against Mankato.
And they have one of Jim's preseason Dream Team players, Braden Petzel, from the offensive line on that team as well. Number 17.
At 17, we've got another 4A school representing that size classification, Orono. They graduated a 1,700-yard passer in Charles Cords, but there's a lot of depth on this team to help make up for that loss on the stat sheet. They went 10-3 last year, which you can't do without a really deep squad, and eventually lost to state semifinalist to Tina Grace. State runner-up to Tina Grace in the semifinals, making them state semifinalists. And we'll look to run it back this year in that same size classification.
All right, last team in this group is number 16.
Yeah. On East Ridge, we've got a Gophers Hoops commit, Cedric Tomes, looking to tear it up one more year on the gridiron before he heads to Minnesota to play basketball. They finished 5-4 last year. And I know had a really talented kicker who I think you
Luke Ryerson
caught up with, right?
Yeah.
Who was nearing the state record there.
Great kicker.
Yes, but they've got some good talent coming back. Henry Byrne, I think, is a big two-way threat for them. Offensive running back and outside linebacker. But they'll look to compete over there on the east side and just make the most out of Tom's last year.
All right, so those are teams 20 through 16. So Jim has got teams 15 through 11, and then we'll take a break, get ready for the top 10. So, number 15.
I like Blaine this year. Last year they had a kid named James Shaughnessy, a quarterback who was a good two-way player. He's a dual threat. He could run, he could throw. They
should have played in the All-Star game.
They lose him. That's a big loss. But they're a little bit more diverse this year. I think they have a little bit more going on all sides of the ball. It's not just the James Shaughnessy show. They've got players and they've got defensive linemen. There's an awful lot at Blaine to really like this year. There's a lot of people that think that this could be their big year. So I think that's a good team to come look at. I like the Bengals.
All right, so Blaine at 15. Who's at 14?
Another team that has long been a bit of an underachieving team that I've got good high expectations for, and that's Prior Lake. Okay. Prior Lake is a team that always seems to be tough at the start of the year.
500
they end up playing 500. They end up playing a tough schedule. Yep. They lose the close games. I'm really expecting a lot out of Prior Lake this year. They lost another team that lost a big-time quarterback in Miles Greenwood, but there's a lot of players coming back in Prior Lake. It's almost the equivalent of what's going on over at Blaine. There's two programs just ready to take that next step.
All right, number 13.
Number 13, I really like. I better make sure that I've got the right team. I really like Becker. They were
How can you
the Class 4A champions. They've got Dwight Lundeen, I think it's his 56th. It's his 56th year. He's the only coach that's ever coached Becker. When the school started, Lundeen was their first football coach. He's still doing it, and he's getting good talent. Kids know that they're going to go somewhere when they get to the postseason, and so he kind of keeps reloading. They lost a lot from last year, but they've always got a lot coming back, and I never ever want to underestimate a Dwight Lundeen coach team.
Absolutely not. Defending 4A champs. That's number 13. Who's at number 12?
At number 12, you ever hear of these guys? Eden Prairie? I see Eden Prairie. They're not the elite team they were 10, 15 years ago when they were just dominating the Minnesota high school football scene. But like usual, they always have good players, and they've got beef, and they've got tough, hard-nosed kids. The one problem that Eden Prairie has had in the past few years is making sure they've got the arms and the legs to accent the tough guys they've got. I think this is a year that we're going to see some good things out of Eden Prairie.
Boy, if there's a bounce back and Eden Prairie's back, that's going to throw 6A into a whole different look.
It'll be fun.
It will be fun.
People tune in to see Eden Prairie. Love them or hate them, people love Eden. People tune in to watch Eden Prairie.
All right, one more team before we get to the top 10, number 11.
Number 11 is Andover, another team that's moving from 5A into 6A. And they're another team that had an awful lot of players in the system. They've got kids that are coming up. They've got a quarterback in Joseph Matson who's pretty electric. He can throw the ball. He's got a strong arm, but he can also make plays with his feet. So I really like Andover moving into Class 6A. They'll get their share of tests, but I think they'll be able to handle it just fine.
All right, so those are teams 15 through 11. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back with the Star Tribune's preseason top 25 high school football teams, the top 10, when we come back.
You support your local businesses whenever you can. And when you open a checking or savings account with Franson Bank, you're banking locally, because the money you deposit stays in your community, enabling small businesses to grow, families to thrive, and communities to prosper. Put your money to work locally at Franson Bank and Trust, serving more than 35 communities in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and North Dakota.
My name is Marshall Bjorklund, and I'm a fifth-generation farmer from St. Peter, Minnesota. What you don't see typically is it's a lot of early mornings, late nights, and there's a lot at risk, but there can be some pretty rewarding times too. Obviously my 2-year-old's a little young yet, but my 4- and 5-year-old son and daughter, they enjoy coming up here, and I think it's my wife and I's hope that they want to continue with the farm. Time will tell what happens there.
Meet Border Foods, a Taco Bell franchisee on a mission to feed families, a mission to create opportunity, and a mission to make lives better. A job with Border is so much more than just making tacos. From great pay to amazing perks, working at your local Taco Bell is like working with family. Whether you're looking for a part-time job or a long-term career, you'll find it all at borderfoods.com.
Hungry? Hy-Vee Market Grill is better than ever with classic favorites and mouth-watering new menu items. We've got breakfast sandwiches worth getting out of bed for, made from scratch omelets. And let's do lunch. Try our delicious sandwiches, fresh salads, and the juiciest burgers around. Whether you dine in, get it to go, or have it delivered, the best breakfast and lunch is at Hy-Vee Market Grill.
Welcome back. You're watching the Star Tribune's top 25 preseason high school football rankings this season. Jim Paulsen is here, and Cassidy Hettesheimer is here. And you are now going to tell us the top 10, starting at number 10 and working down to number 6. And I know there's a lot of teams out there going, you got to be kidding. We made the top 10, or you got to be kidding. We're not going to be in the top 5. Here you go. Who's number 10?
Yep. We're getting into a string of a couple of teams I've gotten to see here in my select number of Friday nights that I've been, and Thursdays, and some Saturdays, that I've been in Minnesota. The first being the other half of the Jug game, Mankato West, another 5A school. They lost in sections last year to Mankato East, so that's always going to add a little fuel into the fire coming back this season. Got to see them beat Chaska last year and force 6 turnovers, so a really good, great defensive performance from them. But they've got Charles Bobholes coming back at quarterback for them. Defensive back still Koborowski, who had 61 tackles for them last year. Lauren Kelly, Southwest Minnesota State commit at defensive end. Their leading rusher, Trevor Shoulderup, is back. So they got a really good crew coming back for them, and see some continuity from their season last year.
It's always a good group, and the fact, Jim, that they have come to the Metro to play Metro teams in the regular season, I think has changed everybody's feel about 5A and that group too.
To add to what Cassidy said, they've developed a really good rivalry with Chanhassen. Chanhassen and Mankato West have played off in the playoffs, and that's become a rivalry, Metro versus Greater Minnesota.
I know the coaches always lament the high school league in one way or another. This is the one thing the high school league got right in getting these teams to play each other. It's kind of fun to see Mankato West come to the Twin Cities. All right, that's number 10. Who's number 9, Cassidy?
All right, for number 9, we've got Wayzata, which is another team I got to watch last year. I got to watch them spoil Eden Prairie's homecoming at Eden Prairie, so that was fun. The Trojans were only 4-5 last year, and they didn't make, I was going back and looking, they didn't make your top 20 at the end of the season, so to see a kind of a big jump here for them and to look favorably upon them at the start of this season. They've got sophomore defensive line Eli Diane coming back for them, and he's a Gophers commit with a lot of upside. They've got a really good receiving duo that I'll be excited to see. Sam Boo and Jackson Brown looking to tear it up in the secondary, or tear it up in the receiving corps for them.
They won't be running on empty with Jackson Brown.
No, they won't. Oh, that was good, Jim. Number 8. Who's number 8, Cassidy?
Number 8, we've got Chanhassen, which we just talked about, and they've got some big dudes on this team. When I was going back through their roster, heading to some pretty big college programs. Offensive tackle and Iowa commit Owen Linder is 6'7". Arkansas commit and tight end Cade Bush is 6'5". Senior quarterback Nathan Ramler is 6'5" also. And so you could probably make a pretty good pickup basketball team out of that group. Not sure about their hoop skills, but you could probably get them out there and do pretty well. They went 10-4 last year, so a really good season. Had the misfortune to match up with eventual 5A state champion Elk River in the state semifinals, but they held them to 21 points, which was Elk's lowest point total of the season last year. So it'll be exciting to see them come back.
Chan's got a good group and a great coach in Cullen Nelson. Number 7. Who is number 7?
And number 7, we've got Elk River. And I kind of serendipitously ended up a little bit as an Elk River beat reporter last year, kind of by accident. Had went out to one game, ended up going back to write about the experience of watching the Power T offense, and then ended up going back to write about a senior who was running their video board and all their kind of game day stuff. His name was Lucas. He's at St. Thomas this year and a really good kid. And they ended up bearing the lead. They were the state champions in 5A. They ended up beating Alex in a really exciting, high-octane game. I mentioned the Power T offense. They've been running that under Coach Steve Hamilton since he took over there in 2010. And, it's one of those things where as long as you've got a good O-line and some good backs, then you've got a really good shot at confusing both opponents and camera operators trying to follow who's got the ball there. They do return quarterback Levi Harris, who's committed to South Dakota. Not as a quarterback. He said he expects to play safety or something. There, but between him coming back and that really efficient system they've got, we like their shot at running it back again this year.
Hamilton just reloads, So he had a down year a couple of years ago. They were under 500, but when he reloads and they've got the horses both up front and those backs, they're hard to beat.
Introducing that Power T offense to Minnesota football was the biggest change in football
Look at how many teams run it.
Yes.
It's amazing.
So.
All right, number 6, Cassidy.
All right, and number 6, it's the number 6 team on our list, but I think at least in Class 6A, I would argue that they're the winners in most miles traveled this season, if I had to guess. That's Moorhead, and they're the big movers from 5A to 6A, and big movers in terms of busing, coming down from Moorhead to play a lot of Metro West teams. And they're going to, be a kind of a fun new team to watch in 6A football. They only dropped one game last season, and that was a nail-biter, 48-44 against Alex in their section final. And they've got some, great Division I players coming. They've got quarterback Jet Feeney coming back, Zach Walker, I think. Defensive back.
Ty Rich, the running back.
David Mack, the wide receiver.
David Mack, yes.
They've got a great group.
Yeah, some great ones. They've got some Gophers offers in there, and so that'll be a really good group. Our Strib Varsity Enterprise reporter, Joe Christensen, actually just made the trip up there for the first day of practice to get to talk to some of them and some of their other programs. So keep an eye out for sort of that rolling out here or what's been published so far and kind of catch up with Moorhead.
Yeah, so those are teams 10 through 6. I find it interesting, Jim, that 2 teams from 5A that are moving to 6A jump into this list in Andover and Moorhead.
Well, that shows me that there's a real division between, I think, the top teams in the state this year. And once you get past the top few teams, then it's kind of anybody's game. Who's going to play well? And that's what makes this list tough to devise, but makes it kind of fun and interesting, too.
All right, so now we're down to the last 5, the final 5, the top 5. And Jim's got number 5 to start.
Number 5, I've got Forest Lake. That's been a team that has been really jumping up in the past few years since they've changed coaches. They've got a program that had a long losing streak for so many years. Now I think Forest Lake has really turned the corner. They've got Howie Johnson in the center. He's a terrific leader. I mean, if you're going to follow anybody, this kid, is the type of guy that he's going to play at the U, but he's a defensive lineman and he can make people miss. He can tackle anybody. He can chase people down. He can command the line of scrimmage. But they've also got some good skill players. Running back Matt Jerkovich is a name we want to hear. He's fast. He had some state track cred from last year, and I think we're going to see a lot out of the running back Matt Jerkovich. You've got two players like Jerkovich and Howie Johnson. You get in the top 10.
So they open with Prior Lake for the third year in a row. That'll be a great matchup.
Yeah, we get to see a lot of expectations there. I mean, is Prior Lake good enough to match up with Forest Lake? Do I have Forest Lake too high? That'll be a great first game.
All right, who's number 4?
Number 4, Edina. I mean, there's a lot of talent in Edina, starting with Mason West. You did a big story on Mason West after the first day of practice. I mean, he's the kid that's getting a lot of publicity, and this is his last go-around with football. Once this season is over, he's hanging it up, putting on the skates and hitting the ice. He's not going to be playing for Edina, but he wants to finish on a strong note. I talked to him earlier this year, and he's already passed for more than 5,000 yards in 2 years. Led Edina to the Class 6A championship game 2 years ago. So expect big things out of Edina. They've also got Sawyer Jazierski on the line. They brought in Owen Eggy, wide receiver, transfer from Stillwater. So they're adding to the receiving core for Mason West. I expect big things out of Edina this year.
All right, so that's number 4. Who's number 3?
Shakopee. You know Ray Benton.
Yeah.
I mean, Ray Benton is maybe the most underrated coach in the state. He's a fantastic motivator. He knows how to get his guys ready to play. This is a team that has they run a veer offense, and they play hard-nosed football. There's got a defensive that can stop anybody. They've got Blake Benton, Ray's son, as a safety linebacker kind of hybrid. They've got Andrew McGee as another linebacker who's a big-time prospect. And they've got their quarterback, Judah Forsberg, back from a year ago, who ran that veer offense to perfection. Now, it's not an offense that's going to score a lot of points. If you get down, they're not an offense that's built to come back. But I really like where Shakopee is at number 3.
And the difference this year compared to the last 2 years, they're not in the Metro West. They're down in the Metro South now. They're playing the Lakeville Souths and the Lakeville Norths. So maybe they won't, I mean, those are still great football teams, but they won't have that every week's going to be Minnetonka, Eden Prairie, Maple Grove kind of a schedule. So.
With all due respect to Lakeville North.
Yes, all due respect, for sure.
I mean, Brian Vossen, no offense.
Absolutely not, or Ben Burke either. All right, number 2.
Number 2, I've got Minnetonka.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you were wondering, was it going to be Minnetonka or the obvious choice at number 1? But Minnetonka with Caleb Francois moving from quarterback to running back. The question is, can he repeat his 1,600 yards a year when he's a cornerback as running that read option? I mean, one of the things that made Francois so effective was that he has a quarterback away from center. He had a read option. They had a terrific line, and he could kind of read where the offense, the holes were forming, and then he could go and he made guys miss. Will he be just as effective as playing a running back and not a quarterback? They've got Caden Gutzmer, who hasn't played much, but is already getting college football offers to pick up that slack as a passer. So I expect a lot of big things out of Minnetonka this year.
The one thing about Caleb is he had his hands on the football every snap last year as the quarterback. That's different now. He's going to have to be given the ball in order to do something with it. So we'll see how that works.
Exactly.
Well, I don't think it's any secret who number 1 is, but go ahead. Who's number 1?
You know, has any coach fallen into a better situation than Maple Grove coach Adam Spurrell? I mean, and when Matt Lombardi left 2 years ago, Spurrell was the favorite and the team's favorite. Everybody loved him, took over the job, led Maple Grove to a number 1 and undefeated season last year. And Maple Grove, they lost a lot of talent. You know, kids like Adam Vocal and Dylan Vocal. I'm sorry, but they've got a lot coming back, and guys that were just waiting their chance to show what they can do. So in the wings, this is a team that is going to be there. Quarterback Caden Harney is probably the best quarterback in the state, not named Feeney or West. I mean, he's a terrific kid, a terrific leader. I've hearing lots of good things about what he's done in the offseason. The only thing I'm worried about with Maple Grove is they had a running back. They had a big-time running back in Charles Longham last year. They have a running back named Patrick Wright, who has spelled him when Longham was out for a couple of games. I'm hearing that Wright is now left and is moving out of state, so they've got to replace Patrick Wright. If that's correct, if my information is wrong, I apologize. But that's the one question mark for Maple Grove. They've got a strong offensive line. They got a strong defense with the linebacker linebacker, Ryder Skansen.
Yep.
They got an offensive lineman in Matthew Peruzzi. So I think that there's a lot left in the tank, in the cupboard at Maple Grove.
Do you feel like we're seeing an Eden Prairie type dynasty beginning at Maple Grove, just with the way that they seem to be built every year?
It seems like it, doesn't it?
Feels like
they've got a lot of talent waiting.
Like
they've got guys just waiting to show up and show what they've got, and this could be the situation.
Yeah. Well, there's your top 25, your preseason high school football team's top 25. Cassidy, is there one team on this list that you said, I can't wait to cover that team? Who would that be?
I think I'm probably gonna need to get my oil changed first, but I would love to make it. Well, I guess they come down here to the Metro, but I would love to see Moorhead just kind of.
They'll be down here.
Make that Metro West district. Not that it needs to be more interesting than it already is with the Maple Groves and Minnetonkas and Eden Prairies and Edinas of the world, but just to see what they can bring and watch them match up against these teams. Not only moving up into 6A, but just what they can bring against some of these schools. I'm excited to see how.
I wonder, Jim, if they were better built last year to be in a 6A with the linemen that they had, because the linemen are really the difference makers in 5A and 6A.
That's 100% right. I mean, that we don't talk too much about them because the skill position players are the guys that get all the headlines.
Yeah.
But that's the question with Moorhead this year. Do they have the beef to compete with those big schools?
And stay healthy. That's always going to be the key. Well, thank you guys very much. It's a great list. That's your preseason Star Tribune top 25 in high school football. Of course, it's going to change over the course of the year. And during our Strib Varsity shows, we'll be referring to this top 25 as we cover high school football teams. Thank you, Cassidy. Thanks, Jim, very much. I'm Randy Shaver. Thanks for watching. This list will come out on the Star Tribune website on Monday, August 25th. Thanks for watching.